And welcome back, our dear viewers, to shed more light on the G20 summit and Egypt's speech, which was delivered earlier today by Prime Minister Mostafa. On behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Ahmad Mostafa, Professor of International Relations and Economics. Dr. Mostafa, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Doctor, how do you see the importance of Egypt's participation in the G20 summit, which is taking place for the first time in Africa, in South Africa, Johannesburg?
It has the greatest significance, as you said, because it's the first time just to handle or just to convene like a very significant summit like this, that including, for example, 85% of the world GDP in Africa, and also that highlighting that Africa became like you know, the main place of interest of all the greater powers in that respect. And Africa also including a lot of resources, including and not limited to, you know, the youth or the young manpower, as well as the critical minerals, as well as the energy, as well as a lot of potentials for the solar energy that is in the West, as well as the other countries that having like a greater rate of economic growth. Therefore, it is very crucial just to have, for the first time, G20 in Africa, because, as you know, that the G20 representing the top level industrial and economic countries worldwide, including and not limited to East and West, you know, powers in terms of America, Russia, China. The G7 itself inside the G20, and the other big developing countries, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Turkey, and of course we have Egypt to attend as honored guest over there. Therefore, yes, it has like greater significance, and it adds value to Africa, because recently I think Egypt already invited some meetings for the G20, I think a couple of months before, to tackle some financial and economic issues in Cairo. And it was the first time for Cairo just to do that before Johannesburg itself.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Mostafa, in his speech, the Prime Minister stressed on the importance of the multilateralism role, and he said that the challenges that the world is facing today is unprecedented. And he said that we have to cope with the developmental needs of the developing countries. From your point of view, sir, how that could be achieved?
It will be achieved via, you know, studying the agenda of the G20 and studying, you know, the challenges, because they have the challenges of the lack of a consensus, and, you know, the G20 countries, the limited representation, and even, you know, the main three leaders and presidents are not existed. I mean, of course, Mr. Putin, Mr. Xi Jinping, as well as President Trump. Also, geopolitical tensions. We have in Africa a lot of political tensions, including and not limited to the southern borders of Egypt, which, you know, affects negatively on the development programs and the vision of Egypt 2030, Africa 2063, and so on. Tensions in Congo, tensions in some other countries, tension in West Africa, as we see every day, because Africa became like the place of, you know, or the battlefield of all the powers now to take, you know, places. Also, we have the Palestinian cause and what's happening and the violations taking place in Gaza every day after the ceasefire agreement. All of this representing, you know, the pitfalls or global pitfalls, and we have also the agenda which represented in the climate change challenge, the debt relief, because so far, you know, the West most of the time just forgets promises that we're going to make a debt relief for our countries, but in fact it doesn't. Also inclusive and sustainable growth, because still the concept is completely different in between, you know, the development and the growth, and sometimes, you know, the figures of the growth is cheating all, you know, the audience, you know, the critical minerals, because now there is a big fight, as I told you, especially in Africa, on the critical minerals after, you know, the abstention of China just to export it worldwide, especially to the West. Also the matter of the artificial intelligence and data governance, because also now we see a lot of issues taken by the artificial intelligence, and you don't know exactly, if you are not, you know, armored and having the proper knowledge about such topics, you cannot differentiate between which is, it is fake or real. It is fake or real. All of this representing, you know, a lot of the challenges and pitfalls that should be tackled. Once we study it, and once we start to have like a proper and consensus to put, you know, an end, and the consensus, that means not a Western or not, you know, the G7, no, the collective action from all the countries, because we have also this cultural, you know, specificity or peculiarity. Therefore, the North country of the G7 have to respect the cultural difference, you know, between the West and the East. And if there is a model is maybe successful in the West, it could be unsuccessful in the countries like Egypt or in the East or the South or things like that. This matter is still making big problems concerning issues like the human rights, for example, and the agenda of the gender and so on, and correlating the gender to other issues like democracy and so on. And democracy also, it's debatable, because whether it is a democratic or the Western democratic model or the Southern or the new power model, like China, like Russia, like us, like other countries, or Iran, or so on. Therefore, a lot of debate will take also the economic model, which is the most important issue, because the Western banking system is suffering currently, and the dollar became not trusted. And as you know, there is a war now on the gold and, you know, the precious metals like gold, like silver, and so on. Therefore, whether the SWIFT system or the Western banking system or the Federal Reserve will remain or will have the upper hand on the economic or on the international banking and financial system, or we will have the financial engineering model, which is very successful, that is represented by China in this regard. And also, you know, how to integrate the fintech, and China is the best country in this regard in the new financial systems and digitalization of the currency and so on. All such, you know, debates is supposed to be tackled and studied well, and having the proper agenda that the South also should present to the North. This is important, because we shouldn't be submissive anymore. We have a lot of potentialities, and we're supposed to have a joint action, I mean the South-South countries, just to convince, you know, that it is not the time of monolateral, you know, order. And as you said, and of course, the President, Mr. Sisi, and the Prime Minister, Mostafa, as I heard in the report, that they are focusing on the multilateralism. And this is exactly the proper and the acceptable model that should be accepted and respected by the whole world currently, according to what's going on.
Doctor, also we have to talk about the system that should be tackling the debt management and the poverty reduction. To what extent the G20 could be a forum to achieve that, with the participation of most of the world countries in such a big event?
Should you know, for example, that China represented a model of the poverty alleviation. And the model of China, I think it makes a shift for around 800 million of the poor people to a proper level of living. And China is still considering itself, despite it is the country #1 economically, and according to a lot of factors. I'm not, you know, impressed by the Western media, because there is a dominance on the Western narrative still so far. But once we see a model like this, and even the World Bank, because the World Bank also is controlled by the Western powers, because it is existed in the United States, this model of poverty alleviation could be generalized because it's a good experience in this regard. Also, if we talk about Egypt, because we have a project right now very similar to this Chinese initiative, Decent Life. Also, it has a lot of repercussions according to the reconstruction that took place, especially in the most or in the poorest places and governorates in Egypt in this regard, and trying to alleviate the status of the poorest people in Egypt. I think it is also a matter that should be taught and revealed worldwide, because even China, once I was tackling such project with my Chinese friends, they told me it is a very promising and fruitful project and trying to help a lot, and already attracted a lot of entrepreneurs and businessmen locally and internationally, just to take this experience as a unique experience to be revealed on their communities and society. The four matter of poverty, matter of debt relief also, because whether you will use such debt in projects just to recompensate you as a North country. For example, recently Egypt tried to get or make the base of Germany, for example, as one of the biggest economic countries worldwide and the biggest economic countries in Europe, to projects like projects of energy, like projects on the ecosystem, the infrastructure, and so on, and having this mutual interest and benefits of such projects. This is exactly the model that we can focus in the matter of socio-economic agenda of the G20. And this is why I'm telling you that the southern countries, especially South Africa, Egypt, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Turkey, can represent, a proper agenda for the South and work properly, because also they are members in some, alliances and groups that is anti the hegemony of the globalization, like BRICS, like SCO, like D8 and so on, and Egypt is a member of all of them. Therefore, we can add and we can have our own proper agenda to be addressed to the Western and the big powers in this regard.
Yes. Sir, we have to mention here what the Prime Minister said about the importance of the developed countries helping the developing countries regarding the issue of the climate change, what we are all been suffering from for a while now, and we are bearing the very negative repercussions of the climate change, especially in Africa. So how do you see could be the way out of such a problem?
This is exactly highlighted previously, because one of the main agenda topics in Johannesburg is the climate change.
Indeed.
And if you remember, we had 3 years ago COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, and also this legal and the climate justice, it was one of the most important issues at this matter, because we are suffering from the industrialization and hegemonic industrialization of the West that is affecting us so far. Therefore, we have to compensate for this. We have to compensate us for this. But the problem that we were late for a long time, because we didn't have this proper joint or collective action anti such, hegemonic industrial activities of the West in this regard. Once we have this collective action, because Africa, as I told you, now is very promising in, these rare minerals. This is number one. Promising in having maybe the biggest hubs for the solar energy, and it's very cost effective, and the eco and the environmental energy, or the green energy as well, like the blue hydrogen. I'm not saying the green hydrogen, because the green hydrogen is costing a lot, but blue hydrogen could take place, or gray hydrogen could take place. Also, Africa is full of, the energy, especially, the fossil energy, oil and gas as well. Therefore, they have the agenda that they can make the trade-off with the West in this regard.
Yes.
You need us, and you need the energy from our side. You have debts against us. Therefore, we can make a trade-off. Maybe you can use our energy and our cheap manpower to extract the energy and to export the energy to you. And at the same time, we should have the proper agenda for the compensation of what you did, and also for the debt alleviation, included in this, trade-off. This is the way that can, African countries and South Africa and Egypt can work properly in this, if there are these bonus fees or the good intention in this regard. Because it is really an important issue to be tackled, because even in Sharm el-Sheikh we already proposed the fund of the compensation from the biggest industrial countries, including America and the Western countries. But so far, what we got from them is still, very limited, because it was estimated around 100 billion US dollars in this regard as a compensation. We got less than 10 billion US dollars in this fund. And unfortunately, the other COP, summit that took place after us didn't discuss such topics like Egypt. Because maybe, as I told you, they have different agenda, they don't want to make problems with the West, things like that. But Egypt, it was a pioneer, and it has like an impressive and footprint in this. Therefore, as I told you, we take this occasion just to urge the government of South Africa, and we know that South Africa is just one of the best developed countries in Africa, like Egypt, and similar to Egypt, a lot of things, just to adopt such agenda and listening to the Egyptian side. And I know that South Africa also has a very progressive and good stance towards Egypt in this regard.
Yes, indeed. Sir, on another file, the Prime Minister also talked about the importance of the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip to elevate the suffering of the Palestinian people, asserting on the importance of the two-state solution as the only way for solving the crisis. How do you see the statements by the Prime Minister regarding the situation in Palestine and Egypt to host the reconstruction of Gaza summit soon, and he also invited the world leader to take part when it will take place. So how do you see the importance of raising such an issue in the G20 summit in Johannesburg?
It is important and it is very crucial, because also should you remember that South Africa itself, it has like a good and very progressive stance towards Palestine and Gaza issue, because they were they filed a lawsuit in Rome at the ICC, International Criminal Court, which give or delivered a judgment that Netanyahu is a war criminal and the Israelis doing and committing the genocide, as well as the IGC. Therefore, Egypt and South Africa, they have a very close or a very similar in this regard. Yes, and also don't forget that recently, or the last week, the Security Council adopted the American proposition, Gaza, and adopted by the majority of the Security Council, countries. Therefore, there is no time just to waste or to delay the matter of the reconstruction, because Israel daily is violating, the ceasefire agreement that made more than a month before, or 6 weeks ago. Therefore, it is the time, the existence of top-level economic countries, and that represent the political power as well, just to tackle and highlight such topics properly. No much better than, Johannesburg G20, just to highlight such, topics. I think it was like good enough on his side just to highlight such topics, because the hosting country is supporting Egypt and supporting Palestine, and also to disseminate, the proposal, and to remind.
Dr. Ahmad Mostafa, the Professor of International Relations, thank you so much. And back to coverage for the G20 summit, and we listen to the EU Commissioner Ursula von der Leyen.